I think that just for us to keep track of who is asking questions, I think it'll be easier if you guys use the participants tab just to raise a digital hand, and then we can go in and go, you know, in the order that people have raised hands, answer the questions that people might have. Would that work for everybody? I hope so.
Yeah.
So under participants, you should be able to go in, and there you go, Linda. So we're ready for any questions that you might have. Send it our way.
Yeah, we really just wanted kind of open, essentially open office hours. So any questions or comments or discussion,
yes,
whatever people wanted.
So I guess we can start with Linda. Linda, do you have any questions for us?
What questions do I not have?
Okay, good.
We can always count on you, Linda.
I was going to see if our other colleagues might have something more specific, but I'm really struggling with Canvas. You know, as you know, we had discussed before, Addie, that my courses have been so high touch, low tech with, you know, the speaking, listening, you know, instructor feedback. And so, you know, never been on Canvas before. I'm finding I really underestimated the learning curve and how much it would take, time it would take to do every little thing to set it up in Canvas. So I will just admit that I have failed miserably. And I am gonna just have to, you know, hope that I'll be forgiven for teaching the way I know how to teach by, you know, really interactive sessions on Zoom with the students, by email, you know, virtually we do a lot by email, and I would like to at least have them use Canvas for discussion boards. I'm wondering if there's a way that I can, you know, publish it in a way that it's not hopefully too big a problem, that it's not all populated, because I'd like to have supplemental resources on there for students to use. The discussion board, they get a paper syllabus that's very detailed that I always, you know, hand out or send by email, and I've put what I can of it on Canvas, and all the assignments are on Canvas. So for the training that I was able to do part of, I at least got all the assignments for the semester of one course. They're there with the due dates and with descriptions, but I've not been able to put it into modules yet. I would have loved to have had a module for each week. My classes all meet once a week, and do a welcome video for each module to explain, you know, everything that they would do in advance, do during the session, and do afterwards. We do that in writing. So I guess what I could really use is just, you know, some hopefully reassurance that it's okay to do this for now, and I'll keep working on developing it for the spring if needed, because I will be sheltered at home with my hubby's liver transplant, and so I'm not on campus at all. And so yeah, just any advice and support on that sort of thing. And then I'll probably need an individual session to just, you know, help look at what I do have in Canvas, and maybe you can quickly show me what to do to fix some of the things that I couldn't figure out. Okay.
So yeah, the reassurance is, I think that having transparency with your students and talk to them and say, hey, I'm learning Canvas, I'm doing my best, hang in there is good. But one of the services that we provide is that we can do these one-on-one consultations in Zoom. And in an ideal scenario, right? In an ideal scenario, if you're teaching an online course, you would have everything in the course ready to go before it launches. But there's nothing really ideal about what we are experiencing right now, right, in the world. So what we can do is maybe like have at least 1 week or 2 weeks in advance prepped and ready to go in Canvas. And we can, you know, maybe do weekly meetings that we can just meet up and just prep for the week and put everything, all the resources that those students will need for the upcoming week there. And that way will serve as a preparation for the spring as well, because as you are populating this fall course, once you're in the spring, everything will already be there. You just have to copy everything over. So we can do that and kind of go like week by week, or every couple of weeks we can meet and set up 2 weeks at a time and that'll be great. We can make sure that all of the discussions are there, and we also make sure that the system is enabled to receive electronic submissions, because even though you've been using email back and forth and it's great, but now you're going to see a lot more emails, which it will get a lot harder to manage.
Right, I'd rather have them on the discussion boards for that.
Either discussion boards, or if there's a paper or something, a writing sample they're submitting, we can enable an assignment to receive electronic submissions, and everything is there. And you, because of your speaking, abilities, like it's better to kind of have the stuff in Canvas, because you can even provide the students with an audio or video feedback, which can be really good if you're trying to explain something more detailed. We can use some of those functions that you couldn't in email, right? In email, you can just write back with, some notes maybe in the document, but in Canvas, you can add the notes to the document and also provide a little video or audio feedback for the students to listen to it, or see you enunciating something or pronounce something or explaining something in more
Exactly,
detail.
and that actually was what I was starting to really learn in Panopto, that, we'll be recording all of our sessions and help sessions as well in Zoom. I'll upload them to Panopto and put in the comments for that, kind of interaction outside of the class.
Yeah,
so
and we can definitely assist you. We can definitely assist you throughout. So don't feel like, you have to do everything, but we need to make sure that at least kind of the basic elements are there for them to get started, right? We need to make sure that the syllabus is there so they can get started. They can find your contact information very easily, which should be already there as part of the online teaching training. We need to make sure that the grade book is set up properly, so you at least have the columns in the grade book ready to go to input the students' grades and things like that.
That's another thing. It's an ungraded pass-fail course as a service for our international students for their speaking, listening, and teaching. So, that would be another thing to how to deal with that, since they're not graded.
I mean, and all those things could be out of completion, right? You could have a little rubric. The student has completed this or has not completed. Yeah, because it is a pass fail, and if maybe you have to complete a certain percentage to pass the class, and you can just set it up where it's just completion grades.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I don't want to take everybody's time. Oh my gosh, did Molly leave?
And if I can add, Linda, one thing that I've been doing the video feedback for close to a decade now, and even not with a high percentage of interactions, I think that could be really, really useful for your students to be able to see and hear as just additional practice, if nothing else. And quite frankly, it's a lot faster to do than to type out comments on the margins of Word or something, I've found as well.
And for your students, go ahead, Michael, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I said that your students will also benefit from discussion boards that utilize video, right? So even if they could record videos of themselves saying something, or, creating a sentence or something, or just recording so that you can provide them with feedback, I think it'll be helpful, and I can definitely help you set that up.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Just the other thing I was just going to add, Linda, is, and I've talked to a lot of people lately who I think are in this mode, and I want to just kind of give affirmation. You don't have to do this. It's okay to not do everything. In the sense of, if it were me, I would triage what's the stuff I can reuse next semester, because let's be honest, we're going to be online next semester too. So if I were deciding what I had time to actually get done this semester, if you can't do everything, figure out the stuff that you can easily reuse next semester. And when you copy it over, you'll save the time and effort, and it's not just one-time energy expenditure. So as you're thinking about it, I'm sure you've got a million things you'd love to do in there and put it in Canvas. But as you're triaging it, do those things that you're going to need next semester as well. And if you can, and do those things first. If there's time to do it all, great. But at least start with those things that you'll at least get 2 semesters uses out of, as opposed to something you maybe just do in the fall version.
Right. Well, yes, I've been teaching these courses for over 20 years, and there's really quite a lot that would be useful to have in Canvas. And I really like the the module approach, because the classes meet once per week, and so each week is a module. And you know, this actually is going to be better for the students to, instead of have homework assignments, which they may or may not do, I've flipped the structure, you know, flipped classroom. You know, these readings and other things are due in advance, and then using the Zoom time for more interaction and really specific feedback on activities that they do in the class. And then, so I think it's going to work great, but again, I did underestimate the time that it would take to do the training and to, you know, actually set up the courses in Canvas. While I have to work other jobs, I was actually working an administrative job all summer to support our program. And that it just really took away from my concentration on course prep. But, you know, so.
Well, it's not like the old days, right? Where the class we've taught multiple times, if you work on it the week before the semester, we're good, right? We've got those materials in the can. This is a different beast this semester.
Right, I've totally just reconstructed the courses. And so at least that's done. They're revamped, reconstructed, set up for both synchronous and asynchronous work and interaction, ready to go, except what's holding me back is the learning curve in Canvas. Yeah. So, and it looks like we've lost our other two participants. I hope that my extensive question did not.
No, we expected this to be kind of a drop in, drop out kind of thing. So
I hope they'll drop back in. I didn't mean to monopolize.
If they know how to contact us. You know, our contact information is everywhere.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, then another question that I have is I've noticed that in the training, and I asked for, you know, the option of a new template, which is what I have set up for the ESL 6001 seminar for international TAs. I was looking at the template for the other courses I teach, communication skills and pronunciation, and noticed that it is different, that must be the older format, but it also looks simpler. And so I'm wondering if it is recommended that this new template is what we really should be moving toward or using in the first place.
So the recommendation is to use a template. We've developed a template for the online teaching training, and that's a template that is similar to a template that I was using with the faculty that I worked with. But we also know that OIT has developed their own templates that look differently. When you think about teaching online on these learning environments, the ideal thing is to have, you know, consistency and organization. So it really doesn't matter which template that you use, but as long as your course is organized, is fine. But if you think about it, now we have about, I don't know, hundreds of people with the newer template. So if you think about a student experience, would be, you know, easier for students if they see a similar template for all classes, they will know exactly where to go to find the information because they've seen that template before. So it will, you know, from a student experience perspective, it would be best to have the ones that most faculty are using, but also knowing that there are other templates out there, you know?
Okay, so that helps. So the template that was used for the training, though, is a new template that SMU is moving toward rather than the OIT template? Is that? It's just
all of them are templates that the university is using. There is not a control. The university is not saying use one or the other. You know, so you can use whichever one that you like. They have similar features. They have the basic components are similar, right? They have the same things that include what we know about on the literature about best practices for online teaching and learning. The components are there in all of these templates that you see on campus, but some of them are just going to look differently. Okay. It's just because they were designed by different people. The OTT template was designed by me, Addie. So, you know, like the CTE templates were designed by Addie. The other ones were designed by other people in IT. So they have similar stuff, but they just look differently.
Yeah, the bones are all the same.
The bones are the same.
Yeah, which is the main point.
Okay. So I have another unique aspect to my courses that makes a difference when you're in person versus in Canvas, and I'll have to learn how to merge, I think. So my courses do not have separate sections. They have different course numbers because of an administrative quirk that requires visiting scholars to be enrolled under a different course number, even though they're in the same course with all the other students, the SMU grad students, and once in a while an undergrad, depending on which course it is. But for example, 6001 seminar for international TAs has maybe one or two visiting scholars in it each term, and they're enrolled under 6011. So it's an administrative technicality that has nothing to do with the operation of the course. We're all in the same classroom at the same time. They're treated like any other student, but they're graded under a different course number in my SMU. And what I can see is that they are in a separate course all by themselves, one or two people in Canvas. And yet they need to interact with everybody else on the discussion boards and get the same announcements. So, you know, I don't want to mess anything up by, you know, experimenting with, you know, how to do that. So whatever advice you have, whether it's to give the visiting scholars some special permissions to come into the main course with everyone else and be part of that, or if I actually have to merge these two Canvas courses.
So recommendation would be to merge both courses, and then you will have everybody that is going to be in that class, in that same class. And there are ways that you can still send targeted announcements to the different groups, or there are ways for you to assign, like if those two groups have different assignments between them, you can still target specific assignments to a specific group. But if it's all the same, then you don't really have to do anything else. You just have to merge those courses and everything will be managed in the same Canvas course.
Yeah, and they are identical. I mean, there's no reason to send any student, you know, whether they're regular SMU students or visiting scholars, anything different. And so it really is just one course that has a couple of people isolated in a different.
And the help desk can do that, right, Addie? Yeah,
the help desk can assist her, and or I have like a link with documentation, like some Canvas, like how to do it, that I can send it to you.
Let the help
do
desk
both. You know, go ahead and send me the link so I have that background information. But I may well be asking help to.
Yeah. If they'll just do it for you, let them do it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they get paid the big bucks for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unlike us who don't get anyway. So, right.
Okay.
But
so I'm sending you on the chat how to cross-list the section in the course, which is merging the courses. So
okay, that's great.
That link under the chat will have all the instructions that you will need if you want to do this on your own, or just have that as backup, just have that for your records, but contact the help desk and we'll be able to do that for you.
Right. I think I'll do that. I'm going to read it, have it as backup information, but just for speed, I may ask them to do that. And then also when these Canvas courses are merged, does it matter that they're different templates? So I'm using the new template that you provided for 6001, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I do like the setup for students to see exactly where to go. The other template looks like it's more open, that you have more freedom to do maybe different things, but I need that structure. So I do like the structure of the new template, but 6011 probably has the old template or the other template. When they're merged, you have to ensure that it goes to the template that you want.
So whenever you're doing this cross-listing or merging, there is like a couple of terms that they use are the parent course, and then there's the child course.
I
So
saw those
you
terms.
would be able to pick the parent course to be the one that has the new template so that the other ones can get merged into this parent course. So I guess when you're submitting that ticket to the help desk, you can inform them which section or which course will be the parent, and then they will be able to go in and do the other one. But the good thing about the Canvas system is that very seldom you'll be able to break something, right? So if something happens, I mean, I'm sure that we'll be able to restore settings or reinstall a template if needed be, and we'll be able to help you. So yeah, and there should be a way to also recross list or decross list, which is part of that documentation in Canvas that I just showed you. So in case something goes awry.
Okay. Great. All right. So I have another question that's not about Canvas. Michael, when we were in the session with, or Addie, were you in there too on the academic integrity?
I was not.
Oh, okay. So, Michael, I was mentioning the session that we always do every fall for the TAs in 6001 on academic integrity, primarily avoiding plagiarism, but also we bring in other elements and have a panel of speakers, you know, and resources. It occurred to me after the session was over, remember I used to attend the TA orientation every year that you had in the fall and delivered a little session for the international TAs.
Right.
And I remember that went to video a couple years, and Doug Wilson, you know, showed me, and I came in and recorded a
I
little,
remember, yeah.
yes. And so that became the TA orientation. So I was on your website and I saw the notation that, you know, registration was closed and that due to COVID, the online orientation would not be available. Or can you tell me more about what's happening with that? Because I'd like to know what the TAs are receiving already, and, you know, for my ITAs, in order to make adjustments in my course if needed. So I don't want to
Sure.
completely duplicate something that they're already getting, but I might want to reinforce or add to something based on what I hear.
Absolutely. So here's what happened. So that course, what we realized was completely not relevant this semester, given everything
Yeah,
with COVID, right? There's
yeah,
nothing about SMU Flex. There's nothing about online.
yeah,
So it was like, do we redo it for one semester or do we just put a pause on it? So we went with, you know,
yeah.
with the pause approach. So the way it's being handled, to the best of my knowledge, is that some of the people like Samantha Thomas and Alexis and some of those people who always used to come, they're coming to the graduate student orientation that Alan Itkin is running. And so what they said they would do is they would include, when they do their blurb for everybody, they would include a thing for TAs. So I haven't seen what they did. I don't know how much of it was they were doing pre-recorded videos versus Zoom stuff. I just, with everything going on, I haven't kept that close a track on it. But that's the way we were essentially handling the TA stuff this year, was those offices, you know, the ones that always come every year.
Yeah,
They also were coming to the grad student orientation. And so they were going to talk there, give their normal spiel, but then include for TAs where relevant, here's the additional stuff you need to know. So that's all we were doing. So it's not ideal by any means, but, you know, given circumstances, it was kind of the best option on the table. So that's the way it's being handled. So there's not going to be, quite honestly, there's not going to be a ton of stuff covered, I suspect, compared to a typical year.
yeah. Well, that's understandable. I mean, everybody's adjusting to that. You know, I should probably just connect with Alan, and, you know, we had been doing a lot together. I'd been giving some free seminars for any international student, you know, for grad student development. And, you know, I imagine that'll have to be virtual this semester. I'm still willing to do that, but,
Yeah. And they had they were doing that, I think, in a Canvas course. So he could probably add you to that and you could just see everything they've gotten, and probably pretty quickly peruse, because they were going to put recordings of the live stuff in the Canvas course. And So if he could give you access to that, that'd probably be everything you'd need.
Okay, that sounds good. You know, there may also have been a disconnect on, you know, the communications for the international student orientations and TA orientations because of COVID and everyone having to
Possible.
deal with everything else. So I actually did not receive any communications about the orientations. And usually that's where I also present, you know, not only the cultural orientation for international TAs, but an overview of the courses so that they would know,
Right.
you know, more about the course. Some of them are required by their departments to take it, and others it's completely optional and also available for personal and, you know, any other language development that students might want. Wouldn't those orientations already have taken place or be taking place
So
through this week before classes?
I would assume so. I mean, I think today would normally be the day we would do it.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, I think it's normally
yeah.
that Wednesday before classes start. But again, I know they were, I know I saw at some point where they were doing them over like a week to 10 days. And I don't know if that started like middle of last week and ends the end of this week, or if it was starting beginning of last week and it's done now. I don't know. But yeah, Alan was, I think, organizing all of that.
Yeah.
And again, my understanding was it was all in a Canvas course. So if that's the case,
Yeah,
should at least be
that
able to give you
sounds
access.
good,
The other
actually.
option could be if they need to add something, it'd be easy to add something and send an announcement to everybody and say, we've added an additional section for international students or international TAs.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just, you know, with everything going on, if that got missed, you could add that in, I would think easily enough. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the details of what he was doing.
Yeah, no, I'll reconnect. You know, we've just had a lot going on, I think, individually over this, you know, over the summer, and now it's just time to get reconnected and see what everyone needs and, you know, be
Well, and
available
just
again.
for sure. And just so you know, we were pre-COVID, we were having a discussion about going back to an in-person, probably like the end of the day of the graduate student orientation. So if, again, assuming next fall is normal, then I think that would, you know, we could almost go back to the way we used to. The video thing worked okay, but not great. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
thinking if they're already there to do the graduate student orientation for a day, just have them stay for a couple of hours to do our thing. And then they could stay for like they used to for another half hour, 45 minutes for you if need be. So
Mm-hmm.
for next fall, let's keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And, you know, I am looking forward to being back face to face. I just miss the students so much, and you can't
Yeah.
really replace that even, you know, on seeing them on Zoom, but we're getting by. It'll work okay. But I did want to let you know that, you know, just with great appreciation that the things that I have been learning, I know I'm going to keep in my courses going forward. So having flipped, you know, the orientation of, you know, how and when the work is done and what we do inside and outside of class, I'm definitely keeping that. And there will be more asynchronous components, you know, and continue using Canvas. I think it's just going to make the courses a lot better and really enables that face-to-face time to be much richer and, you know, useful to the students. So I see a lot of benefit in it, even though the journey to get there has been challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, Addie and I have had this conversation more than once. If there's a silver lining to all this mess, I think that's what it is. It's that long term. I think we may be able to actually make our in-person time even better than it was before by getting the things that we can do outside the room done separately, and then really make the time together more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So fingers crossed. Yes, we've all learned more about different technology tools than I suspect any of us anticipated 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But I think it will be long term. I think there's going to be some benefit.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I think is very valuable, and I do plan to still do this, even though I'm a little bit behind, is on Canvas, for each module. So in addition to the welcome video, which Addie, you know, I did manage to get my practice welcome video done for one of the courses, my idea was to do a, you know, a few-minute video as the intro to each module each week that mirrors the written information that students are getting. And this is more an issue of learning styles, I think, and accommodating students who may have a more auditory learning style preference. And so I'm planning to use Panopto and put one of these little videos at the beginning of each module, you know, to preview what we'll be doing in the class, remind them of the asynchronous work that really should be done in advance and why, you know, again, the rationale, how things are connected to each other and why it's important to do this in advance rather than as homework, and then follow-up information and, you know, some other information that I thought would be useful. And so I would like to get more familiar with Panopto. I've been taking those trainings too and experimenting with it. So one puzzle that I've had with that is where they're stored. When I made the practice recording and try to save it in my folder and also in the course folder, I couldn't find it there. The video was located in the everything folder with the entire university's faculty and all the videos, and they were all accessible. I could click on anybody's video that I saw in there and listen to what they had to say. And I imagine they can do the same thing with my practice video.
So it depends, Linda. So
yeah.
for the online teaching training, you were recording in the everyone folder for that course. It's not for the whole university. But remember, there were about 450 faculty there. So it seemed like it's the whole university, but it's just those instructors that were in that course. So Panopto will that's why I often, after recording my videos and adding them to the course, I hide the Panopto link out of the menu of my Canvas course, because that Panopto link will allow the students to see all of the videos for that course, but without like the order and whatever they belong. So you can always insert a Panopto video into a page, into an assignment, into like a quiz instruction or something. So after inserting them into the area that I want to insert them, I went and like hide from the navigation so that the students don't see the overall Panopto area. And it is also relevant to hide the Panopto thing from the students, because they're not going to be utilizing to record those videos themselves. That we strongly, well, us, the CTE and the OIT, we don't recommend using Panopto for the students to do videos for assignments and things like that. They would just create either their mobile devices or Canvas to create their recordings and upload it into the Canvas system directly, not through Panopto.
Okay, I'm actually making notes as you do this. So
sure.
Yeah, students.
Yeah, so if you have an activity, like if you want the students to do a video discussion, right? Use a discussion in Canvas, but they will be responding through video. We would not give them the instructions for Panopto. The Panopto instructions are only for faculty when you're putting your lecture recordings or, you know, your Zoom meeting recordings, because Panopto has unlimited storage, and usually videos are going to take up a lot of storage space. But when you're doing just a discussion in Canvas, even though the students might do a video here and there, it's not going to take up that much room, so they can upload directly into that Canvas course, and it's going to be just fine.
Yeah, that sounds fine. I remember hearing that before too, and so I've made a note. So I'll hide the Panopto link in the navigation. Yeah, I did make it visible for myself, and then I, you know, figured out, yes, I had to download Panopto and get it in there, and started working with it.
Don't worry, it's not going to be open to the whole university. It's just the people in that course. When it says everyone, is everyone in that course.
Can you say that again? I missed the first part.
when you create a video in Panopto, it's not like you're sharing this with the whole SMU community at large. It's just everyone in that course.
I got it. And that's fine.
But
Okay.
for the online teaching training, it was deceiving because there was a lot of people in there.
There were a lot of people.
And a lot of people created videos too for that specific course. So when they were putting in there, it gave people the impression that that was everybody on campus.
Yeah. And so I can just move it into my course folder, and I'll probably revise it because I've thought of other things I would want to add and some to take out, because some of the things I said in the welcome video would actually be part of a module preview. But yes, I learned this morning in Laura's session how to move the file, so I'll go and find it and do that. Trying to think of anything else. So do you have any open-ended advice, either of you? Just
I mean, we have a couple of videos coming out on Friday that we're going to be kind of talking about humanizing your virtual instruction and also making your classroom a little more inclusive. So I think that up to this point, you thought about course design, how to assess your students, the technical aspects, either using Canvas or not using Canvas. But I think that once, this weekend goes by and classes go live, I think that there's going to be a shift that will have to happen, right? It's not, up to this point, it's been about the instructor and me doing a good job putting this course together. And then I think that once this weekend is over, I think the focus needs to shift to the students, right? How can we best serve them? How do we make sure that we are including all of our students in our courses and making sure that the experience that they have this fall, even though it's not the ideal format or modality that we thought that we were going to have, can still be a transformative experience and can be still an experience that they will remember for a lifetime, especially in a time of crisis, that we can, serve them to the best of our abilities and make sure that all of them feel they're part of the SMU family and have a good experience. So I think that information is going to be coming out Friday from our camp, from the CTE camp. But those are things that I think you need to think about, is that, we've been focusing so much on the technical aspects and the Canvas and the technology and stuff. And I think that during the weekend, it can take a deep breath and start shifting the thinking of now, like, how can we serve our students, right? How can we connect with them? How can we make sure they are okay? How can we make sure that even throughout a crisis and some of them getting sick or having a family member sick or enduring people that, without jobs, and how do we face the world that we're living in and still learn something and use this time of learning as an escape from the negative everything that's happening in the world? I think that students don't think about it that way, but they're incredibly fortunate that they're able to be having this time to learn. And for a few hours of their day, they will be able to transport themselves into a different world and a different way of thinking that they wouldn't be thinking otherwise if they were not in classes. And it is a privilege to be able to be in that position. So I think that if we approach the next semester with gratitude and show it to them that, like, we're here, we're fortunate that we're able to both be here doing this together at this time, and we can learn together one another how to persevere through a world crisis. I think that is something that will be invaluable out of their SMU education, and they will just connect us as humans.
That's excellent. I will look forward to seeing that. And yes, those are the kinds of discussions too that we had in the spring with the emergency teaching, and will certainly continue going forward. As the pandemic is still with us, everybody is really concerned, and so yes, it's not just teaching content. It really is that connection, even more so, with the students. That reminds me of something else too, regarding interactions and keeping the students engaged. So you may remember in 2004 and to the present, I created an ESL Volunteer Program that enables SMU undergrad students and occasionally grad and faculty and staff as well to come into my classes and help out and interact with the students during exercises. And then I also am able to pair them up as speaking partners and small groups outside of class. So I'd really like to continue doing that virtually. I couldn't work it in during the spring when we just were hanging on. But I send out, usually Jennifer Jones does this for me, to send out a bulk announcement welcoming, those who are interested in being an ESL volunteer to just get in touch with me. And then I send them a detailed welcome letter with everything that they can do and the time that the courses meet and what they could do inside and outside the class. So the point is that now we're virtual. I would like to continue doing that and have them, those who are interested and have compatible schedules can join our Zoom sessions for synchronous classes, for the small group help sessions that I also schedule with students for presentations and other purposes. So I would like to be able to invite them into the Canvas versions of the courses as well. So that's just a matter of permissions to anyone on the campus that would like to have that involvement.
So you're not going to be able to add people to the Canvas course because the Canvas course kind of syncs in with the smu.edu catalog. So only if somebody is registered to the class, whether is it a student or a TA or another instructor, they'll be able to have access to the course. However, with the Zoom links, you could provide the link to your session to that external visitor, and then they could join the meeting with the direct Zoom link. And even if you scheduled your meetings through Zoom, if you go into that Zoom link, you'll be able to see the meeting ID. And if you just give them that meeting ID, that will be enough for them to be able to join the class at the time that the class is held. Now, one of the things that you mentioned that kind of made me think about, I've worked a lot with world language instructors, and a lot of them end up using this tool called Talk Abroad, where their students pay this fee to this service that connects them with a native speaker in their language. You might want to get in touch with some of these world language professors because they want their students to practice the world languages that they're teaching, right? So either Italian, Mandarin, whatever. But if you have international students that could pair with their students where they can, the ESL students can practice their English, but then the American students could practice their foreign language, that would be kind of a wonderful experience. And if we could minimize them having to pay for that Talk Abroad tool, that would be even better. And they could make friends there from different countries and they can talk in Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. So you might get in touch with them. And even if you cannot set it up for this semester, maybe we can put the wheels in motion for the spring and even, beyond. And I think
that's a great idea, Addie, and I can ask Aria Cabot and others. I know several people.
Yeah.
I haven't talked with Aria yet, but I know various other people in world languages. But you have just validated part of my program, which involves connections with especially the Chinese language department. So I had been arranging speaking partners between my international students from China who really, need to work on English, and their students, their American students who are studying Chinese. And that's part of the ESL Volunteer Program, to match students up inside and outside the class in ways that really target their needs. And these days, most of my students have been from China, but I still have a variety from around the world too.
Or it's something to connect with the world languages department and see like what are the language classes that we have, or how can we can connect, and what experience can we use for both programs that can really benefit the students, right? Both ways. But
the virtual, that Talk Abroad sounds great. You have another participant, so I'm stopping.
Welcome, Dallas.
Thank you for all your help.
Absolutely, Linda. It was great seeing you.
Good to
I'll
see you,
hang
Linda.
around, but hi,
Okay.
Dallas.
Hello. Mine is not incredibly important. If y'all need to keep talking, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. So I actually have a question that's not really related to like pedagogical concerns at all. I got one of the grants from you guys for the summer.
Yes.
And I got an iPad with it. And it came back and when I got it, it has the SMU sticker and it says it's like monitored or maintained by SMU. I'm just wondering, does SMU own it? And I'm not trying to be
Yes.
greedy here. I want to know because I need to know if I want to know if I need to buy the Apple Care product for it.
So it is SMU. It's in the SMU inventory.
Okay.
So Addie and I were talking about this briefly right before we started. My assumption is, should something happen to it, OIT would fix it or get it fixed or whatever. I don't know that I've ever tested that assumption, to be perfectly honest. But so it's in the SME inventory, just like, the computers in our office or something.
Okay. I just couldn't tell from the way that the description of the grant was written, right? Like we're awarding you this amount of money to buy this thing, use our system to purchase it. So it was just confusing, like who owns it at that point. So I want to make sure that, like, I don't want to spend $150 to buy Apple Care for SMU. That's
No, nor should you. And that's what I mean. And I would say that was where we put that thing together so fast, we tried to tweak the language as we go.
Yeah,
so depending on when you got yours, which I don't remember off the top of my head, we tweaked that language a little bit because the purchasing department came back and said, you need to say this, and this.
Okay.
So your confusion is totally understandable and it's totally on us. But no, I think it's SMU iPad. They should fix it should something happen. I think you're good not needing Apple Care.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to bother y'all with a random question like that.
Not at all. No, I was glad
Not a bother.
And I mean, since I've got you in person, let me take this to say thanks. I really appreciate it. I've used it every day. So thank you very much.
Awesome. That's what we were hoping.
Great to hear. Yeah.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks, Dallas.
Well, thank you again, too. I know that the time is up, and I got pretty much a private session, so
That's good.
I hope that
We'll
our
send you the
two
bill later.
participants, I hope that our other two that gave up at the beginning might, get in touch with you.
That's
I think Molly works with us. Molly is part of the CTE, so she's good.
Okay. Oh, she was just checking in.
She was
then.
just checking in and seeing if we needed anything. She said that she was going to be here for 5 minutes and go. So don't worry about Molly.
Okay, thank you. Well, I will get in touch for just consultation.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm still, I really, just about got to the point where I can see more of what I'm able to do and the things that I really need a little help with. And so I'll get it down to the specifics and then just set up something so that we can do that together.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you. And good luck with your work too. I know that you just have a tremendous load with helping everybody, not just in advance, but during the semester. It will be nonstop, right?
I think after July, after July, I think that it's going to be a breeze. July was the hard month going through like that training. But now, I can breathe free again. Oh my gosh. It's so much better already.
Oh, there is one more question. So, even though I could not finish that training, I did see the value in it, as I mentioned to you individually. And I would like to pick up on that again, or, actually refer to the parts of it that really are relevant to my course. I did go back and I was looking for specific modules that were relevant as I was, finishing my course prep. And I could not access it. I know that you said it would still be accessible. It wouldn't be locked. Accessible. It would just be, it wouldn't be graded. But everything was shaded. The parts that I couldn't get to were shaded out, and I couldn't figure out how to.
Yes. So if you had not gotten to those parts yet, yes, they will be shaded because they will still have the original sequential viewing order. So the main thing is that at least you have to go the very first time through the whole thing following that order. And after you go through the whole thing following that order, everything will be unlocked.
Oh, I see. See that that I would not be able to do then. The
But
other
now you can.
strategy.
You just go in and mark as done, go in, mark as done, but you don't have to submit the assignments now. In order to move forward, you just have to view that assignment. So you don't,
Oh,
You just have to
okay.
click through.
you just have to click through it. You just have to click through it.
Okay, well, that's good to know. You know what I did instead? I created my own strategy. I could see what the topics were and what I knew would be relevant for me. And I just went and Googled them all independently.
Oh,
and,
no, no,
and,
no.
and I picked
Yeah.
up lots of information that
That's
I
good.
actually did use. That was probably similar, not all the theoretical and, articles, but the practical, how to do what I
Sure.
needed to know how to do. So I'm really used to self-teaching on a lot of things like that, but I
Sure.
would like to use the training. So thank you. I can do that. I'll
Yeah, you
just
should be
click
able to
through.
go in there, just click through those activities,
Mhm.
and you should be able to get access to everything. Yeah.
Right. And then one other question, because this, it came up in the faculty town hall when folks were discussing the training and asking if there might be any possibility of having access to like a cafeteria style approach for those that want to proactively, access parts that are really, what they need to use more than other parts. So is there a possibility of having that be accessible, like aside from the required training for certification, to have these modules just available for people to pick and choose and apply what they would like to, rather than being locked if you don't go through the whole thing, like for a certification process?
I mean,
Go
I
ahead, Mike.
think, well, I was just going to say, I think where we're at right now is that's kind of now a legacy thing. Like, we did that training, it's there for those who are in it. I think we're all like starting to get together resources and things that will be available on like the Keep Teaching website and our website. So we're putting a lot of those materials out now, just not in like a course format.
Okay, so it's
So
just resources.
It's exactly, we're kind
Yeah.
of switching to more of a resource mode from a training mode. So we had that training in July. We've got this week of workshops to kind of get ready for back to school. And then we'll keep pushing out various online resources that people can peruse, as needed. But I think a lot of what some people would have preferred for the training to have been a pick and choose, your own adventure training. And I totally get the argument for that, but that's not what it was set up to be. But we're pulling resources and we're updating our website. OIT is updating theirs constantly, so there'll be, if there's not something there somebody needs, we should be able to get something for anybody who needs it.
That sounds great. And then also, if it's offered again, or if there is like another version that's offered for other faculty that need to be teaching virtually in the future, can we get back in and actually, take it from the beginning for certification? I really would like to have that certification for online teaching, even though I know that my courses are not and never can be considered
Right.
fully online as, asynchronous. It's still very much personal interaction, but I don't feel that the education is wasted to learn, all of these aspects. The certification would have been, I think, valuable to me for future reference, if
Right.
not, really relevant for the practical way of teaching my kind of courses right now.
I mean, for sure, we know there are going to be people who did not teach this fall who will need something for the spring. So there will be some kind of avenue. It will probably be an external training. It will probably not be one run internally, but there's definitely going to be some opportunities available. So just keep an eye out for various messages. And I think probably we get closer to the middle of the semester, I would expect there to be some announcements of, if you want to do the training for the spring, here's how to sign up for it. So
Yeah.
just keep an eye out for it. I imagine in a few weeks we'll figure out how we're going to do that.
Yeah, no, that would be great. Well, thank you again, both of you,
Yeah.
for the
You're welcome,
time and
Linda.
the effort, the support, and you know, just have a great term. Enjoy the rest of your week
Thank you.
with everything you have to do. And
Will do. Hey, by
Yeah.
the way,
Yep.
Linda, I have my citizenship exam tomorrow. So hopefully I'll become an American citizen.
oh, Addie, congratulations in
Thank you.
advance. You know,
Hey, well,
I
let's
didn't
not
even
jinx it.
know. So
know.
that's tremendous.
This ESL girl is nervous about the English exam. Apparently they have to they give me a few sentences I have to read out loud. I think I'll do well. I think so, but I'm nervous.
Yes. Oh, you have beautiful English, and yes, you know, just before this session came in, I was on a Zoom with the other part of my life, the refugee and immigrant advocacy that I've been doing, you know, pretty much concurrently with all my years of teaching, and, you know, just talking about more ways of, you know, supporting, you know, those who are here and, you know, contributing so much to, you know, community, economy, and everything. And then, you know, things that we're still trying to do to help those who are trying to come and, you know, might be blocked. So just, I'm so proud to
Send some
know
good
you
vibes
and
for me
to know
tomorrow.
you're going to
Okay.
have that milestone in your life. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Thanks. You too.